Hello the internet, welcome to Tony259, Tony359's second channel. I've got the HP back on the desk. I know we've seen this before, but the previous episode we just put it back together, installed OMV on it, openmediavault, and I've been so impressed by this little thing. It works totally fine. It can saturate my 1 gigabit network. I only use it for storage. Now, the thing is, there is a little space for an extra hard drive, and I think I've decided to do a little upgrade. So I came to my workshop and I logged into the NAS to, make sure that everything was in order. And actually, it wasn't. The RAID was marked as degraded. There were no error messages visible. You'd expect if something like that happened, that you had some error messages on the dashboard. There was absolutely nothing. I'll have to ask the community how to turn them on, because I'd like to be... Notified is a big word because you need to set up the emails and stuff, and I'll definitely do that. But I'd like the unit, I like the software to tell me with like flashing characters, hey, something is going on. The bottom line is, I looked at the drives, and one drive was being reported as like 4 gigabytes instead of 2 terabytes. I looked at the F-disk and it wasn't even there. I looked at the logs and it was saying it was unknown. And this is the drive. So I took it on my desk, I plugged into my dock, and it doesn't even start, it clicks. So this is definitely gone. So it's good that I decided to do this thing. This is a little upgrade, because obviously we need to replace the hard drive. Now I happen to have many more 2 terabytes hard drives, not many more, but a few more. So one is for the upgrade tonight, and one is to replace the one that failed. Besides replacing the hard drive, which is not something I would make a video about, I have this little thing here, which I purchased for this NAS. It's a SATA card. It has a silicon image IC on it. I don't really know what kind of... This is a SYPEX 40008, and looking online on the community for the N40L, this seems to be supported by the NAS, and I'm hoping that this will add 4 SATA ports, which can be seen by the operating system. So I'm hoping that this doesn't require drivers, that I don't need to reinstall Debian and then OMV on top, that kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons I didn't go for an older RAID card. I don't need it. I think OMV doesn't really support it out of the box, so you need to install Debian first and then OMV on top. I'm hoping that this is like a simple SATA port that is being seen by anything. You need like basic drivers, and it doesn't need anything. The other thing, obviously, this fits the case, but the bracket obviously is too big, because this is a low-profile system. But again, the card will fit, it's just the bracket. And I haven't got a bracket to replace this one. I'm not even sure if I can buy it. I think I'll do a little bit of botch work. You'll excuse me for that. But then I'll see if it works. Depending on the outcome, I'll decide what to do. But first thing first, I would say I don't care. I didn't have any storage, any data on these NAS yet. I just only did a few tests, but I really don't have anything. So we can wipe the RAID and everything. Let's take out the motherboard, fit this thing, fit the drives, and then we'll see whether OMV recognize them or whether we need to do anything special. I've also got some decent quality splitters, because obviously now I need another power Molex connector. And if you remember from the previous episode, I had a few at home. I have one at home, but I didn't have any spare Molex power connector in the NAS. So this will give us the power that we need. The only thing I couldn't really find is something for the drive. So the drive will fit in here. Let me see if I can show you. So this is a space for like a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM, and it does fit 2 drives, one on top of each other. So if I'm fitting this, then I can actually put the lid and it will be okay. But obviously, I need something to fit this. And I was pointed to something, I can't remember how it's called. I'll find out and I'll overlay it on the video here, but it's not manufactured anymore. I guess, these drives are not really used anymore. I can't find it, so I'll have to find a solution. I think for now they will just sit here. It's not the end of the world, but I need to find something, because obviously this is just for one drive. And I need something that with one screw here on the left fits two drive. It's a simple bracket. So maybe I can just make it myself. I'll think about it. But for now, the drives, I guess they will just fit one on top of each other. I might put a little spacer, so there's a little bit of ventilation. I think there is, yeah, like half a centimeter, just enough to have a little bit of ventilation on top. But yeah, let's start with the motherboard. Let's take out the motherboard first. And let's see if we can fix this card. Let's make sure it works. And we'll move from there. This card is, as I said, 4 SATA ports. It was only, I think it was like $4.99, so very cheap. And I thought, you know what, let's try this, because this thing is really, really good. I really love it. It works as good as my main NAS. My main NAS is a bit smaller than this, to be fair. But my main NAS doesn't have expansion cards, doesn't have the USB inside. I would say it's a bit noisier. So yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed by this thing. So let's remove the motherboard. Right, so the first thing I need to do is to adapt this long bracket to the short one. I think it is going to be more or less fine. Give me a few minutes. I'll use my Dremel, probably a hammer. Let's see what happens. And voila! So hopefully this is gonna work. I hope it's in focus. We'll check very soon. So let's put this back on the card. Keep the connector good clean. That's it. So that fits perfectly, and hopefully, I'm hoping it's in focus. Hopefully that will also fit in there and everything is going to work. I don't know. Now we need a SATA cable. Actually, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug 2 of the hard drives on these SATA card, because at the moment I have 4 hard drives here, which is a mini SAS connector, SAS connector, which is going to some controller on the board. 1 here, which is going to another controller on the board. I don't want to have 3 controllers in the way. So let's try and minimize this. I'll have, well, obviously I need to use this one. I want to use this one. Plus, I'll have 2 drives here, and I'll just ignore this one. So at least we have 2 controllers in the way instead of 3. I have to say, there is really not too much space. I have to bend the cable more than I'd like. But there's no other option, unfortunately. Oh no, the connector is too tall. This is not gonna work. So let me see if I can find... Oh, it's stuck, of course. Let me see if I can find a cable with a smaller connector. I knew there was a trick in here. I don't know if you can see this. I think I might have it. It's just going to be I would say a lower quality. So as you can see, my orange or yellow cable is much taller than the other one. So let me see if I can find one which is as narrow as the blue one. Okay. So it's time to show you what I'm doing, I guess. It is unlikely that you can see what happens here, but let's do this try thing. So I really haven't got... I don't understand why this board is getting stuck every time. I can't understand where it's getting stuck. Every single time, even last time. So I don't have connectors with such a small profile plug. I don't really have them, but I think I can actually use the other PCI Express slot and then just use the 90-degree part of my cable. I mean, that should work totally fine. I mean, I use this side of the PCI Express because, I don't know, it's I'd say it's what's that, 1X. So I wasn't using the big one for no reason, but honestly, you know, I'm not going to install a video card on this server, so I can use this one, waste the lanes, and now I have space here to bend everything, to bend my, to route my SATA cable. So let's have a look now what happens. Do this one, and probably I can do the same with this one, because it has a 90-degree end, like this. There we go. And I can route them this way, nicely. Yes. This we like. Hopefully you can see something, but yeah, now the SATA cables are happy. Yes. And we'll see what happens at the other end, whether my little custom bracket is working or not. Might be. Not entirely, I would say. It's difficult to show you these. I'm sorry, I should have like 17 different cameras, but if I start turning this thing around, the board will fall off. Hopefully you can see that this is not reaching the end. It's just the whole card. I think there is a little bit of play on the bracket itself, so I should be able to undo the screws and pull the bracket that way, and then it might work, even though I had to push it up a bit, which means I had to pull the board out a bit from the connector, which is not great as well. So let me see if I have a little bit of play on the metal work. This never works very well, right? It's one of those things, it's like, oh, it's going to take 5 minutes. It's like, what's that? 5 minutes on Jupiter? Where one day is like 17 years? Yes, I can definitely push it out. There's quite a lot of play here. And I think I had it pushed towards the card, so I'll push it the other direction and up. Up is not really going a lot, but it's definitely going. So yeah, it's it's too low. Yeah, I trusted this one, but that's just a blank. Gosh. That was me. I just bent it too low. Way too low. I can't really push it. But if I pushed it a bit high, up actually, which is not great for a card, and then no. Okay, the card came. Right, okay, I'll need to remanufacture that thing somehow, because now I cut it. So I have little play, unfortunately. Alright, it's taken me a bit. It doesn't look great, but I think if I just add a washer, it should be alright. And the board is now bottoming there and shouldn't go anywhere with the screw and washer in place. Something like this. It's not the greatest of my creations, but I think it's not going anywhere. It's a NAS. It's not walking around. Alright, I think it's back in one piece. Whether that board is going to work or not. And the other thing is, I don't want to say it's untested. I purchased as work. Was it working? I'm not even sure. Maybe I should have tested it, but I'm not sure where. So yeah, this I don't know. It feels like a recipe for a disaster. Because yeah, I don't really know what's gonna work and what's not gonna work. But anyways, fingers crossed, and hopefully that is going to work. Now let's replace this hard drive with another one. Well, last time I didn't realize I also have a SATA power connector. So I don't really need an extra. I mean, I can make this nicer. And this is a better, as you can see, I'm not sure how much you can see, but it's a much bigger wire. This is coming from Tenable, if I'm saying that right, in UK. It's a nice shop. They have good quality stuff. So actually, let me replace these. I mean, the one coming out from the power supply is cheap. But anyways, let me replace this with the ones I got from Tenable. You need a quality cable. And always, they also have a website. It's not for Steve A. So let me see. And these are, well, this is 3, but this was 2, and I have 2 which split it in three. So hopefully that's all we're gonna need. There we go. Now we got 5 plus a SATA one, so that should cover everything. But oh, the good quality connector is just broke on me. Fair enough. I mean, this Molex heaters sometimes it didn't break, and it just came out. I still feel these are good quality connectors. Just sometimes these don't align for whatever reason, and it feels like you're like crushing everything inside. These wires are so thin. Fair enough, it's a hard drive. You know, my little nightmare is just once one. I think it was it a SATA to Molex adapter? It caught fire inside my computer. Like literally, there was a naked flame inside my computer. The computer shut down. I saw some smoke coming out of it, and I thought, well, power supply must have failed, whatever. Just opened the case, and I saw a naked flame in it. It was in my living room, and I remember my reaction was just to unplug everything and take it out. I have a small garden, just take it out, because you never know, this thing is, getting out of control. At that time I had carpets, and the first thing I did was just take it out in the garden. It was nothing, and then I found online that it had happened with that type of adapters to many people. So yeah, you never know. I mean, it's low power, but if it's making a spark for a long time, at some point, and I'm sure that those are coming from wherever there's no fireproof or regulation or anything. It's just the cheapest possible plastic and everything. Oh, silly me. Obviously, these are SATA. What was I thinking? So ignore what I was saying, of course. Yes, I have a SATA power connector here, but this is being used. Now I need a Molex to SATA. As I purchased this, I completely forgot these are no Molex hard drives. Welcome to me. I should have one somewhere. Bear with me. Right, we're back in business. So yeah, last time I needed an extra Molex. Yes, okay, so fair enough. Anyways, now we also have an extra Molex, which we can use. I mean, I don't like this. I really don't like this. It's just an adapter into an adapter into an adapter into an adapter. It's just I will probably overlay as do not do this at home. Anyways, we got it. And these are, thankfully, they look good quality. Oh yeah, that was it. That was the one that caught fire. Because these are plastic, molding, whatever, and you never know where these are made. And I think someone found out, I think it was ground and 12 volts, they were very close, and eventually they start arching and they melt this thing and this thing catches fire. Right, yes, that's nice, distinct those things. I might want to replace it with a good quality one, because I don't know where that is coming from. Anyways, we got all our connectors here. Hopefully everything is going to work. This is kind of a disappointment. I really want to hope that this is not the original power supply. So anyways, well, thankfully I have a splitter here. Well, I can use one anyway, so I don't need to. Fair enough. Overcomplicated things. Right, actually, let's use this one because it's fairly short. Even the only one available is fairly short. And one is going here. Okay. Fair enough. And second drive with insulation goes on top, like this. And our SATA connector. Yoo-hoo! We made it. Here we go. Ooh. I don't like this at all. but we got there. Everything should be connected. And hopefully everything is gonna work, which I seriously doubt. Right, let's power this thing up. Let's see what it sees. Let's get into the OVS, the software, and see if by any chance this works. Right, unit is starting up. Try and pause it at some point. We should have a picture here. No. Have I broken it completely? Oh, that's not good. That's not great. Right, there's a clicking sound coming from the NAS, which I don't really like. And I have no idea where this is coming from, but the hard drive has spun up. I think the ticking noise is the fan, to be honest. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. The problem is I haven't got video output. Oh no. No. I've just disconnected one hard drive. I think the power supply doesn't have enough juice for 6 hard drives. No. Seriously? Unless this hard drive is bad. I don't know. I know you can't see it. I just disconnected power of the hard drive. Right, something's happened because I turned it on again with the power connected, but not the SATA connector. And the fan went to full speed, which is never a good sign, I guess. Right. So now I have disconnected the power from this hard drive. I have a feeling because I'm turning it on maybe while it's booting, might have, hopefully I haven't caused too much trouble. All right. So it doesn't like that hard drive. Is it that hard drive or what was it? Okay, is that hard drive or is there a bad hard drive or am I just going over the total power of the power supply? Wow, that's weird. I never had anything like that. Let me try and replace this hard drive with a random, I think I have some 500 gigabytes hard drives here. Right, let's see what happens. Ah, it works. So do I have another bad hard drive? Okay. This was working at some point. It says perfect on it, so I tested it at some point, and I used it as a backup for my own NAS. Let me test it on my desktop. I'm curious now to see whether there's something wrong with this drive or not. Right, I'm sorry, I completely forgot to turn on the microphone. Both the receiver and the microphone. Anyways, Right, so I've tested this on my desktop. I have a little USB dock, and this is working. Besides that, now it says 26 baud sectors, and when I tested it before, it had 0 baud sectors, which is not great. But what I'm feeling is that it's very low in starting up. I think there are quite a few platters inside. It's actually very heavy, and I guess that when it's starting up, it uses quite a lot of power. I do remember when I had this under the power meter, it was going over 100 and something watts, and that's a small power supply. So I have a feeling that this is just using up all the power needed from the power supply. And the problem is that now my plan fails because these are the only 2 terabytes hard drives I have. I mean, I can check if I have another one, but I'm not sure I like the idea of having a NAS which might not start up because it's the power supply is inadequate. Yeah, well, obviously this was designed for 4 hard drives. Now then I put a 5th and now a 6th, and I guess also maybe it was designed for smaller hard drives when it came out, something like that. So I would say out of curiosity, we can try and check those voltages and see what happens. I'm expecting probably some voltages are just dropping completely. Right, multimeter is connected to 12 volts. I guess that's the one which might be sagging because it's driving all the spindles. Let's try again now. .5. It's okay. About 5 volts. .05. So I'm not sure what's going on here. And this is just the drive plugged to power. There's no signal, no SATA, but this is still not booting. Try this again. Fan is acting up and it doesn't like it. Well, the disk is definitely spinning. I can't believe just the hard drive is causing so much havoc. Just having the hard drive. This is not shorting anything, right? I can turn it the other way around, but I have a piece of paper in there. And it's definitely the hard drive, because if I unplug it and I power up, yeah, I think it's coming up to life. Yeah. I can't believe that that's causing so much havoc, particularly because I don't see that 12 volts sucking too much. But yeah, I can imagine if the 12 volts is getting too much power, maybe the other voltage, it's impossible now to probe the other voltages. The motherboard is inaccessible, well, with that SATA card. Also, I'm assuming the SATA card is also drawing some power. It's a combination of things, but it's just weird. I never had anything like that. Now, I guess one thing I can try just to rule out the power supply out of the equation is just to use another power supply, like a proper ATX power supply, just external here, wire everything in, including the motherboard, and see if that works. If that works, obviously we have a power supply problem, and unfortunately that means I can't have 6 hard drives, which means this whole video is being useless, and I purchased that SATA card for no reason. Great. Right, I've got this Cooler Master 750 watts plugged in. It hasn't been easy because there's very little space in here, but well, the power supply that I found inside is completely disconnected. I've reconnected everything, actually using the same extenders here to see whether maybe there's a problem with that. And then I have the SATA. Yes, the SATA connectors coming straight from. I don't know. Let's power it up. I'm hoping it doesn't produce in a big bang. I mean, this power supply should protect it. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I have a kind of a bad feeling about that. but I know the hard drive is working. Anyways, right. Yeah, power here. It's powering up. It's blue light, so I think it's working. Yes, it is working. So I haven't got enough juice. No. Oh no. Oh yes, look at that. That's the that was the SATA card. So we have an extra SATA card. It actually has a little BIOS, and you could see 2 hard drives. So that's great. So the SATA card is working. Now I'm curious to see whether OMV can see that. The thing is, I won't be able to replace this power supply. I mean, I can try, but it's not gonna be easy. This is so disappointing. It's just so disappointing. But these are big hard drives, as I said. There's quite a few platters inside. I guess it's just when they power up, that there must be a big surge in power when 6 hard drives as big as this are trying to spin up, and probably the power supply just can't do that. Yes, I see 6 hard drives here. SDB, SDA, SDF, SDD. Okay, let's have a look at storage, disks. What would we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hard drives. So it would work. It would work perfectly fine. The SATA card is working. The hard drives are being synced, but the power supply is not powerful enough. Oh no, I can't fix that. It's not like the power supply is faulty. It's just it's too small. I cannot remember last time I mentioned, I noticed that it wasn't a massively powerful power supply. It could also be that the only Molex output, the wires are really thin, and maybe, that causes a voltage drop. But we didn't see a massive voltage drop. I think that's just too much for the power supply, and I can't fix that. Oh no. I don't have a solution for this. I mean, there's no point in going ahead, because this would work. It just works. The card is being synced, OMV sees it, it doesn't need any drivers, any configuration whatsoever, but I can't use it. I mean, unless I want to keep it like that. It looks like a Borg ship. Right, I had a quick look at eBay, and I found this power supply for sale for the N40L microserver. And it's a 300 watt power supply. This is a 150 watt power supply. No wonder this thing is struggling. I mean, I don't know whether that 300 watts that I see online is like the equivalent to the original one, but I honestly feel that the power supply is not from HP. I don't know, but the thing is, I could buy one from eBay, it's that going to be a good power supply? I don't know. But it's 300 watts, and I'm assuming, unless it's a Chinese 300 watts, like 300 watts is just a random number, that might work. That being said, do I want to... this whole project started because it was cheap, and yeah, only £30. Then you put 40 in it, and it's £70 plus the card. I don't know. It's always that kind of rabbit hole where you start with something, and then, oh, I could have more RAM on it. Oh, I could add this one. I could do this one, that one, and yeah, and then you're like, why did you even do that? It started as a cheap project. Do I need an extra hard drive? No. So it was only because the SATA card was $4.99, I think it was $5.99, something like that. And as you can see, it works automatically. It was just a matter of plugging the card, wire everything, and it works. But now then, obviously, I would need a bracket to fit the second hard drive. I think I'm gonna give up on this one. I might disappoint some of you, but it's just one of those things which are not worth. I mean, I have another NAS. It's working totally fine. This was like, yes, I have an extra one. Sometimes I might need to transfer something, and it's nice to have a second place where to store your stuff. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can buy 300 watts power supply for this machine, and then I guess it's going to be totally fine. Yeah, I'm actually a bit concerned that if the machine doesn't even start with an extra power supply, yes, it starts with 5 power supply, but is it running like 100% all the time? That's a bit concerning. This is from Scan. You can definitely buy a very good power supply. I think these are called Flex ATX. You know, £70, you get a Silverstone power supply, 350 watts, and you have peace of mind. I mean, you can find something on AliExpress for very little, but this is not. I'm never gonna buy a power supply from AliExpress. That's gonna be like a fire hazard in my workshop. And to be honest, I think that's one. It's already a fire hazard already. The thing, I don't think I'm going to change anything. I'll just keep it as it is. It's kind of a shame because, again, it was working. But there are options. Maybe I'll keep an eye on eBay or Amazon or Marketplace. And if I see a decent quality power supply of that form factor of, I would say, at least 300 watts, I'll just buy it. And I know that this can work. I have the card, I have the drives, I have everything. And everything is going to work. So, yeah, I guess this is it. Well, I had to take a look at this NAS anyways because the RAID had degraded. That this hard drive is definitely completely gone. It doesn't power up anymore on my dock either. And I guess this is it. It's very, very frustrating because, again, it works. It's just the power supply can't do it. So what can I say? I hope you enjoyed this little journey into upgrading, non-upgrading my NAS. And I hope to see you again soon forget about that. Just got another one. Right, so I went online and I could see that most of the power supplies available for this unit are from FSP Group. And then I realized that even the existing power supply is from FSP Group Inch. So I thought, okay, well, that sounds like a good replacement. As you can see, it's the same size. And this is actually second hand. I paid it only like £15. And fair enough, I appreciate that my idea of these be like a budget project is slowly dissipating into thin air. But fair enough. Now, I can buy one of these power supplies like on AliExpress, but I would never buy a power supply on AliExpress. And they look fake because if I'm going on the FSP Group Inch and I'm looking at these very power supply, it looks like this. While the ones on AliExpress, they have like labels in different places. The fan doesn't look the same. They look fake, and it's AliExpress, you know what I mean. So I decided to go with this because it looks exactly as a genuine one. And it's more or less twice as much the power because this one is 150 watts maximum, while this one is 300 watts maximum. Then it depends which one of the rails is using, but this is more or less twice the power, and I can actually feel, you know, that this is a bit heavier than that one, and it says it has ball bearing fun. Now, I haven't really tested this power supply, so maybe first things first, you know, let's plug it up into something, let's open it up, make sure there's nothing horrible happening inside, and then we might want to test with the motherboard, you know, just to make sure it powers up. And then we can try, hopefully, to revive this thing. The other thing I purchased, and again, that goes my idea of a budget project, is this. This is called the multi-mount from OWC. And this is listed on the kind of community, wiki community that I found online. It should allow me to install 2 hard drives into one slot, the slot here at the top. It should work with this with no modifications requirement, and it should work. And again, this was only like £5, but still, you know, this is getting kind of expensive. Still, I feel it's worth the money as this thing works really well when it works. So let me begin with the power supply. Oh, another thing of the power supply, which you might be noticing at some point, is as soon as I got it, I realized that the main ATX lead is too short, and it's definitely too short for the case. So yes, I've also got this, which is something I had already. It's horrendous quality, but for 300 watts it should work. I mean, if it works, and you know, I'll take a look, it should be okay. But this is one of those horrible cheap ATX extensions where all the cables are all the same gauge, and yeah, I refused to use it when I bought it, and I bought a better one, so I might buy another one. But you know, first let's make sure everything works, and hopefully this is not going to be like horrible enough to cause some voltage drop and nothing works. But anyways, we'll get to that in a second. First thing first, let's open this power supply. Let's make sure there's nothing horrible happening inside. Make sure capacitors are okay. It looks clean, but I can imagine, I mean, the listing said it was coming from a clean server room and it was barely used. Of course, you would never say that the item you're selling comes from a horrible and dusty and smoky place and has been used like until the death of time. But anyways, let's see what happens. Oops. Well, it looks okay. I don't see any bad capacitors or anything nasty. It looks of good quality. It's one of those really crammed power supply. Obviously, this is much more powerful than the other one, so the more components inside. But yeah, everything looks to be okay. I think they're like high quality capacitors. I see the brown ones, which should be Nichicon. The fan is the Delta Electronics, which is like decent quality. Yeah, everything seems to be okay. It's definitely being cleaned, I guess. I would say let me grab a motherboard and honestly just make sure it beeps and seems to be posting, and then we'll test it here and make sure everything is okay. We'll check the voltages maybe. All right, I've got this Gigabyte. I think it's a dual core, quad core, something like that. It's a motherboard and it's got the same inputs, 24 pins for power supply. I've got the beeper, the speaker here, so we know hopefully that the board is doing something. I can't be bothered to get a video card and actually see what's happening. Just want to make sure that hopefully we hear a beep and we know the thing is posting. Also have a hard drive plugged in. It's just plugged in the power, so I'd like to hear it spinning, and then we'll check all the voltages, make sure everything is okay. So let's power up. 3, 2, 1, go. So the board is definitely posting. The fan is really quiet, so I'm pretty happy with it. It's not very effective, but I can definitely feel air blowing out. Is this the other way around of the other one? It's blowing out. But anyways, it is working and it is very quiet. Let's check all the voltages. The board is, I guess, rebooting. There's no video card, I don't know. But let's check the 12 volts here. Got 12 volts. This should be 3.3 volts is 3.3. Yellow is 12 again. Yeah, 12.22. Red is 5.0. Purple is minus something. Nope, another 5 volts is power good or something like that. What else do we have? Blue is minus something. Yeah, minus 11.7. I think that's it. You can see a brown wire going, getting the voltage from the 5 volts. I guess it's some sort of a feedback. So the power supply has some sort of compensation for the voltage at the plug. So it can compensate for that. I think we got everything, right? Gray was gray. 5 volts. Anyways, it seems to be working. Everything is spinning. The board, again, beeped. I'm assuming it's okay. And I'm pretty happy the fan is high quality. So it's good. I have more noise in this room than I can hear the fan. So that's great. I was hoping not to get one of those power supplies that they have those horrible, horrendous fans making those horrible high-pitched noise. Great. That's enough for me. And let's install it into the NAS and wire it up and see if it boots, if it works. The power supply is the right format, is fitting totally fine at the back, so that is good. Oh, and this power supply comes with 3 Molex connector, which is great. I mean, 2 are coming from the same line, but at least we have 2 lines instead of a single one on very thin wire. So, I'm kind of hopeful that this is going to be a bit better than the other one. All right, time to assemble the 2 hard drives using this contraption here. I never used it, so I'm hoping that I can sort it out.
Right. This is a very heavy sandwich. It works pretty well. Obviously, there is no much space left for ventilation in between the drives. I don't know, we'll see what happens. I think the temperature can be monitored from the software, so I'll take a look. I don't know, it should be plenty of space around it, maybe. I don't know, let's do it and see what happens. All right. This is really just. Let me see if the lid actually goes back. Yes. Right. Okay. I'm feeling I'm pushing my luck here, but it seems to be working. It's just literally like stuffed with hard drives. But anyways. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, one thing I could do, I could replace this door with, how would you call it, like a grill. So at least there's air being pulled in from in front of the hard drive, because otherwise I'm not sure the air is going to be traveling this way. But we'll see. Again, the temperature should be monitorable from inside the software, and we'll see that. Now, another advantage of the power supply that I purchased, I think it's coming with two SATA plugs, and they should be long enough to reach the hard drives. Let's take a look. Yes, just long enough, but it's great, so I don't have to use adapters, splitters, and that kind of stuff. Cool. Wow. Right. Well, this is done. Oh my gosh, it's heavy. Right, I'm ready to give power to this thing. I think we have two options. Either it works or it goes up in smoke. We'll see. But anyways, power... Well, anyways, we'll see what happens. Power on. Now. Right, it's not powering on by itself, which is good. And let's turn it on. Ooh, yay! It's working! The power supply is working and is capable of powering up all 6 drives. Wow, this is cool. So if everything goes well, we tested it last time, OMV should be able just to see everything. These are the 2 drives detected by the extra drive. No valid device. Okay. Well, I'm assuming that card that I installed, it's a RAID card. Because it comes with a screen where I can set up a RAID, but I don't care about that. I don't think I want to use it. I think we'll just add a layer of complexity on this item, which I don't need. It's fine as it is as a basic unit. If it's a bit slowish, it's fine. It will be able to saturate my gigabit network, so I think it's totally fine. Right, the NAS is definitely up and running. Let's log in. And we have 6 drives detected, 28, 26, 25 degrees. Fantastic. Well, well, at least, I got the extra mile to get those extra bits in the power supply and then the adapter here. But it seems to be working, touch wood. It seems to be working. So I would say let's set up the RAID straight away. Then it will take like overnight to initialize. And then hopefully I can start actually using this drive, this NAS. Now somehow OMV is preventing me from deleting this RAID 5. I'm assuming maybe I need to remove the file system which is on it. and then I'm allowed to delete it. Unmount. Maybe I need to stop remove the shared folder. I can't delete that either. I don't know, it doesn't allow me to do anything. I can't delete the shared folder. I can't delete the file system. Well, I cannot unmount it. I cannot delete the RAID 5. It doesn't allow me to wipe the drives. It comes up the usual timeout error. I don't know. Now, OMV has been working flawlessly on my main NAS. It's been working for months, and it just works. It just works. But whenever you have to do something on the configuration, it's not great. I have to say this, it's not great. There's always something. Now again, I think all I can do is just ask the openmediavault community. There's usually someone willing to help within minutes. So hopefully I can get an answer straight away, because I don't know what to do here. Right, I might have found something online, and I think I might need to remove the shares which are being used by the Samba services. And I can delete this one. Media, yes. And hopefully now I can go in pending configuration, so let's apply it. And hopefully then I will be able to delete the share and then the file system and then the RAID. It doesn't do that automatically, you have to do it manually. Yes, now, now I can delete the shared folder. Yes. And I guess if I'm going to file system, I can unmount the file system. Perfect. And I guess now I can go into multiple devices and remove the RAID. Yep. Fair enough. There you go. Okay, so yeah. And so now I can apply all the configuration changes and then start again and redo everything. Of course. Right, now it doesn't do the configuration changes even after a reboot, so I'm stuck again into this. Oh my gosh, this is not great. Right, so I got some help from the OMV forum, and I'm basically being told off for not following what the error message is telling me. Now, you know, Linux error messages are full of stuff, and yes, I did see that it says you must manually run dpkg configure a to correct the problem, but you have all those sort of messages every time in Linux, and they don't really mean anything to me, even though I'm not a Linux person. But let's try and run that and see if it does anything, I shall say. Nope, that didn't work. But at least it seems that I'm allowed to upgrade the system, because one other thing that I was told is to upgrade to the latest version, obviously. That's always the last thing, the first thing that any sysadmin would tell you. So let's run the update and see if that changes anything. All right, well, that seems to have worked. Let me say I'm not impressed by OMV that refuses to apply some basic configuration changes. I wasn't doing anything fancy, just, you know, removing file systems, RAIDs, and it needs a software update to do it. I'm scared to ask because I would probably get like one of those answers that, you know, I should have known by looking at something. But anyways, it seems to have worked. So yeah, let me reboot it first, and then we'll try and recreate the RAID. And yes, I was able to create the RAID. Right, this is going to take absolutely forever to finish. It will probably be more than overnight. But I think I should be able to create a file system now already. Yes. And the file system is created. Let's set the warning, the threshold for warning in terms of capacity to 85%, which is totally fine. And finally, I can create a share, and that hopefully is going to be accessible from my laptop. And the share is available. I didn't have to configure much because it was there already from my previous setup. So I just gave it the same name, the same setup, and it works totally fine. So perfect. Obviously, there's no point in running anything, tests or saving files on the NAS now because it's busy syncing. What I'd like to take a look at is the ventilation. Because obviously now this thing is syncing, so the drives are getting pretty toasty. And I can see here from these temperatures that some drives are 39, 40 degrees, but two drives, and guess which ones, are 47 and 49. I guess probably the bottom one is 49 and this one is 47. So let me see, well, I guess I will, you know, it's not something I can see straight away, but I think I'd like to at least put the top lid and see if those temperatures are going down, and maybe just as I said before, just to remove this part and see if that improves or makes things worse. I don't know. And I had a look before whether I could speed up that fan. It looks like it's not adjustable from anything. I don't think there's anything in the BIOS, and I don't think the sensors, as they're called, LM sensors, whatever that is, can actually drive the fan. Or maybe I don't know. I think I had a look and I couldn't set it up, but the fan is definitely being seen by the system here. You can see that. So there must be a way to speed it up because, yeah, either speed it up or at least set the speed of the fan depending on something, as I did on my other NAS. It's a bit basic setup, but I'd like to do that. But maybe that's for another time. Let me make sure that these drives are not catching fire, because one is at 49 degrees, which is not great for a hard drive. All right, so I put the cover back in and I realized there is really no opening down here. So there's no way that the fan can actually circulate any air through those two hard drives. So I will definitely remove these blank here, and for now it will stay open, and then, you know, if it works, I'll just buy one which is open like a grill with little dots, and that should help with ventilation. But as it is right now, it clearly is not going to work. Actually, this is probably going to be worse because there's no, I think the air is going through here, through down here, but it's not going up through around where the CD-ROM should have been. And I've removed the blank here, and yes, I can definitely feel air going through. One little trick is just put some alcohol on your hand, and yes, I can definitely feel air going in. So I'm sure that that's gonna work fine. And I guess once the front panel is also back in, that will probably balance the air between the two. So yeah, that should be fine. We'll see whether the temperature of these hard drives is gonna reduce over the next few hours, even though it's syncing. So syncing as is synchronizing, not syncing as in the boat.
We are syncing. We're syncing.
What are you thinking about?
And I'm assuming that these drives are gonna get pretty toasty over the next few hours. But yeah, we'll see when it's idle, of course, what's happening. But I think I'm happy with that. Alright, the NAS has been running overnight and the RAID is complete. Everything is working totally fine. I've also enabled the smart monitoring for each drive, so if I'm going on the dashboard, I can see my drive somewhere here. There's one which is showing some bad sectors, sometimes it's okay, I guess, bad sectors, as long as they don't keep increasing. It doesn't necessarily mean that the drive is bad. These are all drives that have been running on servers for quite some time, so I'm not expecting them to be perfect, but I have some drives from old servers myself in my computer. They've been running for years. That's totally fine. So who knows? We'll see what happens. The good thing is I got 9 terabytes out of this thing. I had the drives, so I didn't buy them. The NAS was only, I can't remember, it was like £20. Yes, then obviously I had to buy bits and bobs, but really not too much. And everything seems to be working totally fine. And the speed is around 103, 105. In my living room is actually a bit faster. I have a long Ethernet line here. I have a feeling it's a bit noisy, so sometimes I don't get like the 100% of gigabit, but I mean, that's totally fine to me. And inside in my living room, it was actually going up to 110, 113. So everything seems to be totally fine. I don't need more than this. So I don't need to do any further upgrades or speed or tweak or overclock, because that's all I need the NAS for, store files. Now, I've also managed to control the fan of the NAS through a software, which I did already on my other NAS. I had forgotten. The software is called LM Sensors, and that's basically allowing the system to recognize all the temperature sensors and also the fan controllers. And then I'm using a software called Fan Control to actually set the speed based on one of those sensors reading. Now, unfortunately, I can't find a way to set the fan based on the hard drive temperature, because all the sensors I can see, you can see them here. I've got this W83798DG, which I guess is the IC looking after the sensors, and I've got some voltages. And then I have fan 1, which is the only fan in the NAS, so obviously that's fan 1. Then I have 3 temperatures, temp 1, temp 2, and temp 5. And one of these is the CPU, but I don't really need the CPU. I would need the hard drives. And unfortunately, that's where it ends. I have a PCI adapter at 34 degrees. I guess maybe that's the North Bridge. But that's it, unfortunately. I had a look online, probably even some time ago. I couldn't find a way to link the speed of the fan to the actual hard drive temperature, which is what I need for a NAS. So if you know anything about it, if you let me know, that'd be great. But it's kind of easy through PuTTY here. All you have to do is to run the LM sensor. So the software is basically scanning for all the sensors and make them available to the operating system so you can use them. Then you run a software called PWM config, and that will check the fan output. And when you run it, it will spin the fans at maximum speed and basically ask you, did you hear a fan going at a maximum speed? So it can basically match the connector to an actual fan and basically configure the software internally to say, right, these output is the speed reading and that kind of stuff. And once you've done that, using the fan control software, you can tell the software, the operating system, well, the fan control software, to run a fan at a specific speed range based on temperature ranges of a temperature sensor. Now, as I said, I only see 3 temperatures here, and I think the temp 1 is the CPU, which you can see here on the GUI as well. Temp 1 is 32.2 right now, and I found this software called Stress, which is like Prime 95 in Windows, and if I run it, then my CPU is going at 100%. You should see that at some point, whereas the CPU utilization is already 100%, and this temperature 1 there we go, it's now 34 degrees. I tested it earlier on. It doesn't go over 39, I think. It's a Turion. It's a low power CPU. So it doesn't really make sense to have the fan to speed faster based on the CPU, because simply the CPU doesn't get too hot. What I really would like, again, is the hard drives. That being said, I can set the fan a bit faster using fan control. And I could see that the hard drives were basically staying below 40 degrees even when the system was rebuilding. So that's fine for now. And if one day I can find a way to match relate the fan speed to the hard drives, that's even better. But for now, it's totally fine. As you can see, the stress software is still stressing both cores of the CPU. And yeah, I can see temp 1 has gone to 36.8, but it's only a few degrees from being idle. So yeah, that doesn't really help a lot. And this is totally fine. Everything is fitting inside pretty nicely. I'm not concerned about that ATX extension. Yes, it's very thin, But again, that's a very low power motherboard. That's probably the only motherboard I'm happy to use this extension without thinking something is gonna melt down. I think the whole thing is like 25 watts. It's totally fine. I'm not gonna use it for anything else but this. So that actually can live inside this NAS. Totally happy with that. Another parameter that I've checked is that all the drives are actually running at 3 gigabits per second, and that was one of the features of the latest hacked BIOS. So all the drives, including those connected to the SATA PCI Express card, are running at 3 gigabits per second. Gigabit, yes, and that's it. Again, I can saturate my gigabit network. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for anything else, so that's totally fine. And as you can see, one drive is showing 27 reallocated sectors. As long as it stays at 27, it doesn't mean anything to me. But I'll keep an eye on it. If it keeps creeping up, 27, 30, 50, something, then obviously it means it's gonna die. I hope I have another 2 terabyte drive somewhere. Otherwise, you know, I'll cross the bridge when I get to it. But for now, I've got a 10 terabyte RAID 5 NAS for how much? £50? Which is great, I think. Well, I guess that's it for this video today. I'm so happy to have this NAS back up and running, and with extended storage capability. I think I'm gonna use this NAS for my YouTube videos, because at the moment I'm storing absolutely everything on spare hard drives, like random hard drives I have somewhere. And the thing is, I'm also storing the raw footage. And since I moved to 4K footage from the overhead camera, I think it's a bit too much. The files are really big, and I'm getting like a pile of hard drives. If I need something, I don't know where things are. I should probably keep track of what I'm saving where. The thing is, I'm not sure I want to keep all that footage, like the raw one. Yet definitely the final bit, the thumbnails, the bits and bobs, but the terabytes and terabytes of footage, for what purpose? I don't think it's useful. So because I have these 10 terabytes of storage suddenly on my network, I think this is perfect for that. And again, this is not, you know, even if I lose that footage, it's not the end of the world, because it's going to be on YouTube anyways. I can download it again. It's not going to be at the same quality maybe, but you know, it's fine. You know, why do I need those files anyways? It's nice to have an archive, but I really don't see the point on having terabytes and terabytes of raw footage. You know, I'm not making Titanic, so I think it's going to be totally fine. I hope this NAS is going to last a bit more than last time. I didn't even realize it had degraded. I'll make sure I'm setting up some email account or something so I can get notification if something goes wrong with it. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, as usual, I'd appreciate a thumb up down below. Consider subscribing to the channel. Remember, I'm on Patreon. There is also a free tier on Patreon, so you can join without having to pay anything. You can buy me a coffee if you want to support my work. If not, just watching the video and leave a comment, maybe a thumb up if you really want. That's enough for me. Let me thank my patrons. The names are scrolling at the side of the screen somewhere. Thank you very much for your help, your support. It's amazing. I hope you enjoy this kind of content on my second channel. I guess I'll see you next time for my next video. I don't know. I haven't got anything in mind for my second channel at the time being. I'll come up with something at some point. For now, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.